Texas is nope, not doing it. I just can't do it yet. But they are going to the college football playoff for the first time in program history. And based off what we saw Saturday afternoon, they do have a shot of actually winning the whole damn thing. Let's talk about it. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, plus coaching searches, the transfer portal, bowl game statuses, matchups that we're going to see in the bowl games, everything that really goes on throughout the week, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Tell your friends, your family, your workout buddy, your sister, your brother, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, the drunk passed out guy in a Publix parking lot, your entire church congregation, really everybody, as we're on the race to 1,000, then 10,000, then 20,000, then 100,000. Guys, we're going to get there at some point, so you might as well jump on in before it gets big time. Say that you've been here from the beginning, and as always, let's talk college football. By the way, if you like this type of content, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. It's the exact same as my YouTube handle, so when you click follow on one, make sure you hit subscribe on the other. Thanks in advance. So, Texas won on Saturday. They emphatically beat the living daylights out of Oklahoma State. And yeah, Oklahoma State hung 21 on them, and that's going to be a problem that will be addressed, I think, during the next month of preparation for the Sugar Bowl against Washington. But make no mistake, Texas absolutely has shown the world they are not the same Texas of old. They had some moments. They had some definite moments where you kind of sat there and went, is this where it all comes crashing down? Texas of old, this is definitely a moment where they would falter. This is a moment where they would crumble. They didn't do that. Not at all. They didn't do it against Houston. They didn't do it against TCU. They didn't do it against Kansas State. They didn't do it against Wyoming. The only time that they did was against Oklahoma, which I think we give them somewhat of a pass on only because it was at a neutral site location in a rivalry game. And if we're going to give Alabama a pass for getting 4th and 31 off, I think you give Texas a pass for one faltering drive in the entire season. But besides that, Texas played a different brand of football. They were physical in the trenches on both offensive and defensive lines. They dominated on the ground game with a multitude of different players. It didn't matter that Jonathan Brooks went out. You still had Jaden Blue, and you still had CJ Baxter, and Keelan Robinson's speed down the sideline was potent, especially against this Pokes team. Your defensive line was amazing this entire year. You allowed one running back, back in week 3, Wyoming of all places, to rush for over 100 yards. And you really set the precipice of what your defense was going to be. Make us win through the air because you're not winning on the ground. That's 100% happening. Ollie Gordon, number 1 running back in the country this year, finished with under 100 yards, averaged less than 3.3 yards per play. That's saying something. That's saying a lot about what guys and big boys like T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy can do. And speaking of T'Vondre Sweat, name the last time that you saw a defensive lineman win Big 12 or really any conference defensive player of the year. Because the stat line isn't going to back that up. Like when you look at the stats for him, it's going to be like, okay, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. You got to realize that human piling machine basically was like a giant mouth that just collapsed and corralled really everything that was in his way. And that did a huge lifting for Texas's defense. Speaking of lifting, you saw Quinn Ewers lift this offense. And I think it's a huge testament to what he's been able to do all year. Really kind of understanding last season was a building point. Now it's time for me to build. He wasn't perfect. Like definitely anybody out there who said, oh, he's a Heisman front runner because he plays for Texas. No, that's not true. But he did finish with the best completion percentage in the Big 12 this year. He was top 3 in passer ratings. He had over 20 plus touchdowns. Not to mention when he had an interception, you kind of watched him go over to the sidelines, talk to Sark, talk to AJ Milwee, and then he kind of went back out there and he did make the same mistake twice. You saw the maturation every step along the way. And it helps that he basically has a fantastic 4 of wide receivers at his disposal. And I use that on purpose because of much like the TV show or the movie, The Fantastic Four, everyone has a role. Miss Invisible was Mr. Invisible and Adonai Mitchell because he slipped and slid his way through the defense of Oklahoma State and really has all year to finish for a breakout season in his first year with the Longhorns. You have the Human Torch basically being Xavier Worthy because if he's unguardable and when he's on fire, good luck stopping him. The thing is Jatavion Sanders because it's clobbering time when you can get the ball in his hands. And then Mr. Fantastic is the leader and the voice of the team The voice inside that locker room is Jordan Whittington, a guy who has been here through Tom Herman, through the transition of Steve Sarkisian, and remembers the downtrodden days of Austin. He remembers being a part of part of a roster that had glorified expectations and couldn't get the job done. So they have that at your advantage. And then you look at what happens with the College Football Playoff Committee trying to lead them out. I don't see how it's possible. I don't, because of every single shot, you sit there and go, well, he's out, but he's in. Oh, well, we don't have Jatavion Sanders for this play. Okay, Gunnar Helm can step up. And Helm has done that this year. Everybody at Texas has acted like a veteran. Everybody at Texas has acted like they've been here before. And the way that they kind of left the field in Arlington was a testament to what them saying, we know we are not where we need to be just yet. Because a lot of people and a lot of old Texas teams, remember 2018, win the Sugar Bowl, you're sitting down in New Orleans, you hoist up the trophy, and there is an eruptious feel inside of the Bayou as Sam Ellinger protrudes the words, where I'm not saying it because of I can't do it until you see it. And there was a part of me and there was a part of a bunch of other people that love college football that went and said, oh no, no. Sam, what did you do? You opened Pandora's box. You said the negative word. You said the no word. And look at what happened to Texas. They never got back to a Big 12 championship. They never got back to a top 10 ranking. They never found their way into another New Year's Six Bowl. And Tom Herman was fired 2 years later. And so it's a testament to where you look at Steve Sarkisian, where it was continued growth. And I think that's the main takeaway you have here. Because Texas, the big thing about the Longhorns, that logo carries weight in the Lone Star State. Anybody who has ever been in the state of Texas knows about the Longhorns. There's always going to be some people who grew up as an Aggie or grew up as a Baylor Bear fan or a Red Raider or are loyal to TCU. And then you have your weirdos like the Texas State, which, by the way, give it up for GJ King because of what he did in year one in San Marcos is beyond impressive. 7-5. I mean, good for the Bobcats. But everyone knows Texas. Everyone knows Austin. Everyone knows the 40 acres, and everyone knows what type of talent goes in to that building. The problem is the talent that was coming out of that building was flawed. Go back and look over the last decade at all the offensive linemen who came out of Texas. How many of them are starting in the NFL today? Not many. In fact, I think only one, if I'm not mistaken. And even then, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a rotational guy that's just kind of filling in as a backup. Same with the defensive line. They added in guys. They didn't develop guys. They were weak at the offensive line. They were weak in trench play. And that factored into where the persona of Texas was. Texas has always had talent. They've always had good receivers. They've always been able to punch out 5 stars and be able to bring them into the franchise. And everyone believes that this is the year that Texas is back. But it comes down to coaching. And when people don't understand that coaching is such a big deal, look at Texas this year. This is the epitome of what it looks like when you have the right people in charge. From not just your head coach, but from your nutritional staff, your strength and conditioning coordinator, those who work in the offensive line, position coaches, coordinators, their ability to rally a team together and have normal conversations inside of locker rooms and team meetings and not miss a beat. That is when you know you have a great program. That's when you know you have the right guy leading a great program, because they've always been a good program. Nobody would ever doubt that Texas isn't a good program. But the fact that the way that they've won their last 2 games, scoring over 100 points, the ability to be able to handle business against teams like Iowa State on the road, where the last time they played there, Bo Davis made history and basically social media go up shit. Then you look at teams like Oklahoma State, and you look at teams like TCU, their ability to handle business and not falter, even when they started to break, but they didn't entirely bend. That is a good program. That's why Texas is close. To be BACK, you have to do it consistently. To be BACK, you have to have this continuous amount of success on a consistent basis. This can't just be a one and done and then say we are no. No, you're not. But this version of Texas is sustainable because they have the right people leading the charge. They have the right people evaluating the talent, and they have the right people developing the talent. And that comes from AJ Milwee, that comes from Kyle Flood, that comes from Jeff Choate, who just recently took the job in Nevada. They have the right people in the building. And as long as they have that, they have something sustainable. It's a testament to Steve Sarkisian. Texas is not back, but they're about as damn close as you're ever going to say it be. And with the win over Washington and New Orleans, you're getting closer and closer to actually that becoming more of a reality than a punchline. Thanks for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.